Welcome to Oud Base, and today we are going to be talking about something that I've been contemplating on doing for a while now. I had my reservations in doing it, but I kind of feel the need to kind of actually go through this so people have an understanding and appreciation of what's involved. So, and obviously we're talking about grading here, and it's something that's actually really difficult to do, and something that takes experience, a heck of a lot of experience. So like, for instance, to me, someone who knows their stuff, or shall I say an expert trader, yes, or an expert who knows his stuff could go over to a place. Let's say he's got 100 kilos in front of him, or 1,000 kilos, doesn't matter. He can literally take like a bunch in his hand like this, and he'll place it on the table, and he'll go through each and every single piece, and he could tell you roughly the percentage of the grades that are in that pile. That's someone who's a professional. Obviously there are people who are far more knowledgeable than that as well, but yeah, I've seen, and I know people that have that kind of ability and that kind of skill. As for myself, I would consider myself to be proficient in the grading department, but nowhere near obviously my brother-in-law, who probably pissed on my knowledge, to be quite honest, because he's the one who actually taught me. But again, he knows what he's doing. Obviously his father-in-law's on another level, but and so today is, I just wanted to kind of touch up on it, and just go through the basics, because obviously in a previous video where I did a video where you see me and my father-in-law grading, but I didn't really discuss much about that. I kind of feel the need to go through that on a basic level. Obviously I'm not going to show you, because this is not a full-on course, but it's just going to give you a basic understanding of how it works. So there's a number of things that you need to have knowledge of. Okay, so for instance, color of a particular oud. So Sumatran would look, in terms of color, in terms of its texture, and in terms of its grains, will look different from a Indian. And so would a Kalimantan look different from an Indian piece of Agarwood. So, colour and grains and stuff like this obviously matter. See, that also matters and it's also more vital in knowing the colours of your wood, or the original wood where it normally comes at, and the different grades of that, because this industry has its pitfalls, and one of them is the unfortunate method of wood being coloured to give it the look of higher grade. All right, so that's one aspect of it. So you got to know, you got to literally know your wood. If you don't know that if you can't tell that a piece of wood has been coloured, then obviously you're in trouble. Okay, so the next thing I would go is, obviously the next thing would be the depth of the infection. So for instance, when you're looking at the grain of wood, when you're looking at the wood chips, you're looking at the infection, you're looking at the grains, you're looking from the side, you'll see roughly how deep the infection is, and the patterns and stuff like this, also give away. So for instance, if you're looking at a fake wood, you'll know that there's when you've got experience excuse me, grading wood and being around wood a lot, you will easily spot the difference between a fake one and a real one, just through the patterns and the grains and the way the infection is, and the way the wood is in general. Again, and so the next thing would be also the shape of the wood. So someone who knows their stuff will know, like a certain, depending on certain breeds of Agarwood, They can tell you roughly, oh, okay, this piece here is less resinous and less fragrant than this small piece over here. You know, so a real trader can pick up a piece and could more or less tell you which pieces are more fragrant and more contains more resin and more oil than the rest of the pieces in a particular pile, for instance. Again, with size also comes the shape of the wood, you know, and through that you can also tell which pieces come from which part of the tree. Yeah. What else? Another thing as well, the weight of the wood. That also is an indicator of you know, how good the piece is, and how much resin and how much oil it possibly has. The other thing as well, in the process of it being cleaned or hasn't been cleaned, you got to be able to tell which one's been cleaned and how much cleaning would it need for it to be a particular grade. You got to make that judgment when you're actually going and purchasing and stuff like this. So then you know, all that thing will add up in your cost, in your overall cost of pricing your particular merchandise. So yeah, all these things come into play, you know, when you're buying in large quantities, in I would say you know, over 10, 20, 30 kilos or whatever kilos. I mean, I've been involved in these trades, 100 kilos, 50 kilos, 60 kilos, all this kind of amount. I'm sure you've gone through some of my videos. You'll see me and my father-in-law unboxing a bunch of different Indonesian woods. Again, in one of the videos I saw, I think it was Al Jazeera, where I think the gentleman was interviewing the brother Abdul Samad Al Quraishi, and I think he was asking him, you know, how do you tell? And it was a real interesting clip there. I'll try and add it in. And in it, he says, you know, you can hear it. You can hear by the sound. He's absolutely right. You can hear by the sounds. You'll be able to hear, you know, roughly. You know, someone who knows their stuff will tell you roughly, you know, what kind of grade we got there. Will tell you whether it's wet, whether it's been, most importantly, whether it's been varnished or not. You know, there's a particular sound there, and also obviously the looks. The other thing as well, he talks about tasting it, and he's right there as well. Yeah, I mean, that is one method of doing it, but again, you got to know the taste of the wood in comparison to, let's say, wood that's got glue in it. And glue is abundantly used in a lot of these woods out there, because in the trade, bigger pieces have higher price, which is really ridiculous in my opinion. And what else? Okay, so then there was the taste. Again, the color as well, you know, that will have an effect. So the next section would be the smell test, and all the factors that I mentioned previously in regards to, you know, the taste, the color, all these things will matter when it comes to smell, because you'll be able to pick it up if you know your stuff, and you've been around it long enough, and you've burnt it long enough, and you've traded in it long enough. An experienced trader will know if the wood has been tampered with in any way in terms of smell. Also, he'll know, you know, the grade by the smell. He'll have a rough idea how deep the notes and tones are, you know. And in the burning, obviously in the burning process, he'll know how long it burns for, you know, how much oil, how much resin's coming out of that. All these things will be indicators for him to know which grade of wood he's dealing with. You know, add into the equation of knowing your wood. And I'm not just talking about one single wood like say Hindi or something like that. We're talking about Indonesians, we're talking about Sri Lankans, we're talking about, you know, Philippines, we're talking about Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, you know, Burma, Chinese, all these, you know, Vietnamese, Malaysian, you know, all these different woods. Anyone who knows and burnt any of these woods, they know that it's, you know, all got their own scent profile and stuff like this. So all these things come into play. The other thing I would say is the you know, how long the smell would linger in the air for was also an indicator of how, you know, good the wood is and the grade. Now, obviously, I'm just touching up on the basics. You know, there's a heck of a lot more at play here. For instance, you know, if you got Morocco wood, how would you grade Morocco wood? To most people's eyes, it looks exactly the same. Okay, it comes in small and large sizes and all these funny shapes, but a lot of it to most people would look very similar color. You know, how would you grade a piece of wood like that? So it's not, you know, this is not for someone who's, you know, who's absolutely loaded and he can just go and buy loads of stuff from other countries and think he knows what he's talking about. You know, there's levels to this game. There's levels to this game, and me personally, I'm down here in comparison to some of the people I know who are like way up there, who really know their stuff. And you know, I don't claim to be an expert, but I've got basic understanding of this of the Agarwood trade. You know, there's people out there. This is one of the things that my brother-in-law would always say is like, everyone's an expert, which I find very true, especially here in the West. You know, so, but yeah, I just thought I'd put my 2 cents in there and give you guys a basic understanding. Hope you know, you enjoyed the video. Please give me a thumbs up, and if you have any questions, please leave it below. Have a nice day, guys.